Here we go.
Hello, hello.
Here we are. Here we are. Hello. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. How are you
Wow.
doing?
Doing all right. Doing all right. Getting through it.
Living
Having
our
my
best life, right?
cacao. What'd you say?
I said we're living our best life, right?
Living our best life, sipping on cacao, chit chatting. Almost past 4 o'clock. Forgot to start it up.
Um, yeah, it's easy for us to get carried away and
Oh
just
yeah.
talking on our own too much. And I'm pausing as I'm sharing the link one more time here to
There we go.
remind everybody that we're on, that they should tune in and
Yeah.
listen. And yes, been running around like a crazy person already today, which is not the norm. Normally I get to just kind of relax and settle
Yeah.
into the show. And so that whole running around thing, I'm like, let me catch my breath, but all good. We're here. The
We're
show
here.
must
We're
the
here.
show must go on.
It must go on. That's right. And we make it happen.
We got this. We got this.
Yeah, it's just a chat, just a chat. I'm glad
So
to see you.
I am so glad to see you too, even though I love having you in person next to me, but
I know, I
this is
know,
the
I know.
next best thing. This is close enough. Like I get to see your face. I can feel your energy through the
Yeah,
screen here.
there you go, there you go. Same, 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 sister.
Yes. So
So,
I just want to explain our topic here a little bit today because I will say yes. We talk about the masculine and the feminine all the time. Like sometimes I'm like,
mhm,
we're talking about it too much. But there is no such thing as too much because of how important this is. But because of a few conversations that I've had recently, like it's come to my intention that
mhm.
not everybody really understands what is the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine energy. And I think that there's a lot of stories, misconceptions, and because we do live in a patriarchy, there are things that people associate with, what is the sacred masculine, what is the sacred feminine,
Yes,
and I
yes,
think that we need to get it out there so that the misconception that feminine is about being pretty and being sexy and being
yes,
gentle and being flowy, and yes, some of that is feminine, and
and
oh,
being
and
weak and being passive and being quiet
all those
and demure. I know we can go on
demure demure
and on.
baby, thanks for tuning into the show. Always
Yes,
great to
thank
see
you.
you.
Always.
Yeah,
Mwah.
and
Sending
there,
love.
see, exactly, she was saying she needs the reminders. I forget that I need to remind people, and so remind me to remind you. How's that?
Exactly. I know it. I know it.
But back to misconceptions. The masculine has to be the knight in shining armor and the
Yeah.
tough one and the this and the that. And um, so I thought, yes, it's time to come on and have a show that is just completely about defining what is masculine, what is feminine. Hey,
Yes.
Gio, thanks for tuning in. And this guy's amazing. He was in a training that I was one of the assistant coaches in,
Ah,
and I love seeing that he's still tuning in and listening. And it also makes me so happy. Like, we know our audience is primarily the women out there. We love
yes.
and appreciate you so much.
Yes.
And we're here for the men too.
Yes.
And like, I want the men to understand that we see you, we love
Yes.
you. And, one of my big goals is to get women to stop punishing the men, putting them down,
Mhm.
because that's just going to get us more of what we've already had. And I speak often to, you know, my first trip to Egypt, when ISIS came to me and delivered this message that it's up to women to save humanity and restore the balance of masculine and feminine.
Yeah.
But the other side of this, the lesser known story is, I don't remember if it was the next day or 2 days after, we visited Edfu, which is a temple to Horus, and the god Horus, the Egyptian god Horus. And he basically reiterated what his mom had to say to me, but also asking me to make sure to support the men in this process. And, once we get things a little bit more in balance, it is going to make it easier for the men to step out of that toxic masculine patriarchy mode that they're in right now, and step into the sacred masculine,
Absolutely.
And when we get that balance back, and I always feel like I have to say, balance does not mean 50-50. And women are not all feminine and men are not all masculine. We both have a balance point within ourselves. We, for some, like some women could be 50-50, and be 80-20 or, anywhere in between. But like, there's nobody that's 100% this and nobody 100% that. Because if you were, you wouldn't be able to function, because you need both. You need both, for sure.
And that's a good recognition that is necessary, because I think when we do have just, a masculine saying, I'm masculine, I'm it, and they're dealing with having to be the aggressor, the controller, the leader, the this, the that, all that toxic masculine, and they forget that they are part feminine. And what is that exactly? They sometimes don't even want to own it, and that's what we're here to talk about too, is that we do have to own both parts. So this way we don't discount the other part we don't want, because we should have both. And, I always go back to the Shiva Shakti, because I love that. I love that the Hindus have that as a, part of their deity, is to recognize that God is both male and female. And so that's how important it is not to discount that side. Sorry, and I interrupted you, but go on to your, I was like, let's go with the masculine first, because we do want the men to listen to what the sacred masculine is, because we respect that. We love it. We want to own it in ourselves. As if you're female and you really, connect to your divine feminine easily, don't think you don't have your divine masculine, because I connect to that often, and I appreciate it. And I appreciate it in men too, because sacred, when it's sacred versus wounded, there is a big difference. And I know we like to talk about that, because the wounded doesn't make us feel safe and good about the masculine. And so when we're talking about the sacred masculine, these are the aspects of masculine we want to see, that we want to share, that we want to know, that we want to be alongside of, and then accept in ourselves. Like, and I have my notes here, so I'm going to defer to my notes. But direction with clarity and purpose, that's a sacred structure. Okay. Creating containers that support life. I love that. Because they are our safety, right? And when we create our own safety, that, again, if we say they are outside of us, what can we do to bring that inside of us? Create your own safety container, right? The other, I love this one too. Sacred masculine is action. They move things forward. Sometimes as a feminine, we're like, okay, we'll just talk about it. We'll process it. We'll keep talking and get a million different opinions, but we can't move forward in action. So when we get that masculine insight, because that's a good one. I hear that all the time, right? My women friends, like we talk, but are we taking action? So I like the action from that masculine. And, I do like being a leader myself, and leadership is a sacred masculine. We're not saying controlling, we're saying leading. And when you are grounded in your leadership, you recognize both aspects of leading from a feminine and from a masculine, I think it's an important thing. So leadership is a great thing to embody in yourself. I mean, I know, Julietta, you're a leader too. Here we are. You're leading this, right? And you have so much to say and so much to do, and you take so much action. I see a lot of the masculine aspects in you. So and I'm happy to see it. I'm happy to, and you don't forget your feminine, because we're grounded.
Well, and I think, and that's absolutely, and a lot of this conversation stems from the way we've co-created society has kind of forced women to step too much into their masculine. Mm-hmm. And, so all of these traits are beautiful in women, but it's about making sure that we have the balance of that and understanding what balance means. Mm-hmm. And yes, you said leadership. Like, obviously, in a balanced world, we have men and women in leadership positions. Mm-hmm. But for a woman to understand that act of leadership is a masculine trait. Mm-hmm. And so then how can I pull in the other feminine traits, which we'll get to shortly? Mm-hmm. How can I pull that in to be part of the leadership?
Of the leadership, exactly. Because you can't forget those. Exactly.
Protection and creating safety is next on our list here. And that is one that is part of, a conversation that brought me to putting this as our topic for today. So one of my friends was talking to me about how, her feminine mama bear was coming out to protect her children. And I was like, wait, hold on. And there's nothing wrong with mama bear and, a woman protecting her children, protecting the people that she cares about. But there's the understanding that protection is masculine. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so, and also thinking about it, yes, there is that aspect of keeping people safe. Mm-hmm. And what can we as women bring into that so that it's protection in a feminine way? Mm-hmm. Yes. To keep our balance there. Because, if we have to, and not to say that women won't, like, yes, we can, put up our tips and put up a fight if we have to. And understanding as well that might not be the way that protection has to show up. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I think in an imbalanced or in a wounded masculine, they instantly go to, like, look what's happening out there in the world. Mm-hmm. It's war, and they're all puffing up their chests and, I'm doing this to protect.
Yes.
But they're also harming countless people who have innocent people. Exactly. And so, when we look at protection in a balanced, in a sacred way, protection can be created without harm being done onto others.
Yes. Protection with connection. I was just thinking about that. Because feminine is connection. Feminine is, you're receiving, you're connecting, you're creating, but you're creating a connection and a safety to bring in those around you, not to be competitive and push them down. That would be, one of those toxic ways of being masculine. So
and the last one on our list that we did is presence.
Oh, I like that one.
Present is, it's been countless times that my presence has been requested because of my the feeling of groundedness that I
Mm-hmm.
bring to the table, and also understanding that that presence and grounding is also a masculine aspect. And again, these sacred masculine traits, like all of us women should have them in our toolbox because
Mm-hmm.
we need them.
I
But it's
do.
also, I think, for us to be able to restore the balance and bring that back, we need to have better understanding of what is masculine and what is feminine. Because
Yeah.
yeah, when people are out there going, my mama bear is my feminine, it's like a mama aspect of it, yes, but the
Yes.
bear part of it, not so
Yes.
much.
That's
And
right.
yeah, so like I wanted to be perfectly clear that it is okay for women to demonstrate these traits. Understand that when you're operating too much in these traits, then the balance is not there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think before we move on to the other stuff, we need to go back and talk about what the sacred feminine
Yes. Yes.
traits
Yes.
are.
Absolutely.
Because again, like people just think it's all about being girly and pretty and soft and
Yeah. No. 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 Yeah. No. No. Not so much.
so
But we
my
have.
favorite one and I think what really needs to come back is intuition,
Yes.
and we all have it and men have it too.
Yes.
It's easier for women to access it because it is a feminine trait, but I think that is possibly one of the biggest ways that we give our power away
Mm-hmm.
today is by
Yes.
not listening to our intuition. Because trust me, like people are like, no, I don't have any intuition. I don't hear the voices that tell me what to do. I don't, and it's
Yes.
like your intuition is there and it's screaming at you. You're just not listening to it. You're ignoring it, you're denying it, but trust me, it is there.
Right. It's a practice. It's a practice. I know if they want to negate everything. Sorry, son. I'm going to shout out to my son. He's got to read Reddit and every other thing to make sure that he's got all the information in front of him before he makes a decision about it. I'm like, you know it. Why are you looking for things to support what may negate the thing that you're looking to evaluate, right? Because we want supportive evidence sometimes, and we just forget we have all this knowing inside of us, and yes, females do that a little bit easier than men because they want to make the right decision, which comes to let's all flow. That's the next one on the list. I love that sacred feminine. What about flowing? What about it?
Yeah.
Allowing it to happen and seeing what happens. And first of all, there's no mistakes because I know we all like to say, I want to make the right decision. I can't flow. I got to make this happen. I got to make this happen. I got to make this happen because this is the right decision. That's the wrong decision. How about the experience of it all? But I can get on another topic altogether. But I think flow, I love the word flow for the sacred feminine.
Well, and I think flow also flows with intuition because when you're following the flow, that's
Yes.
like ease and grace
Joy, right.
and that's the same path as your intuition. If you follow that, if you allow it
Yeah.
and trust. Because sometimes it can feel like, wait, I made a wrong turn.
Yeah.
But give it a minute. Give it a minute. Because
Mm-hmm.
typically it will sort out and then it's like, yes, that was the right decision. It just
Mm-hmm.
there was a little hiccup there for a second. Just flow, ride it
See?
out.
Exactly. Let it go. Let it go and let it flow. And
Yes.
then that would bring us, and I'm going to skip over creativity. If you don't let things flow, how on earth could you create anything? I mean, creativity is part of who we are. Everybody, needs to do. And if you don't do anything creative in your days, look at that, because it is a very supportive type of energy to let flow through your body. But but creating something, it's a sacred feminine, excuse me, and it's a beautiful aspect of the human. I mean,
Well, and I think, you know, there's the obvious.
yeah,
We our most creative power is bringing forth life, you know.
yes,
Uh,
yes.
and so when you're sitting there asking, like, what is the most feminine trait? Like, think about, you know, what is, and I'm not saying that every woman has to give birth. I am a female who has chosen not to birth children into this world. But just thinking about that helps you understand, like, the force of creativity.
Hmm.
And I also want to talk about, because when we say creative, people often,
Hmm.
like, their mind instantly goes to, like, art or music or
Hmm.
something along those
True.
lines.
Yeah.
But creative can be, you know, like, all of the ideas that came together to bring forth these computers that we're using, the cameras that we're using,
Hmm.
everything that we're using to be here at one point
Hmm.
was an idea that someone created. So, like,
Hmm.
that creation of the idea is the feminine, and then the work behind it to make it happen, that
The
was the
action.
masculine.
Yes. Yes. I
So,
love that.
so I
Innovation.
really want to put that out there, because a lot of times people get really caught up and they get held back thinking that
Mm.
creative has to be something artistic in some
Right.
way.
Right.
And, you know, creative can be, I'm going to be ridiculous. Creative can be thinking of a new way to clean your bathroom that feels more in flow and enjoyable. You know, creation can happen on so many different
So
levels,
many
so many
levels.
different levels.
And so many,
Um,
I mean, in work too. I mean, I'm just thinking about how can I be creative? Sometimes I think I teach the same thing every few months. It's the same course. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. But being a creative in the delivery, in the format, in the way I interact with the student or the person. Look, expressive ideas are creative. I mean, and if you want to say, I'm being creative, I just birthed something new because I don't remember ever doing this before. And that brings us that good energy to say, wow, I am creative. Wow, I feel good about what I've just done. This is new. This is fun. And it's more fun and exciting because isn't it boring just to do the same thing over and over again? Anyway. So.
this is why I have rebirthed myself. I don't know how many times in this lifetime. Just wait and see what new version comes out next.
I'm telling you, my daughter said the same thing to me. I want to see what new version mom is going to be. She's like, I explain to people and my friends who you are, what you do. And it's like, that doesn't match. I get this, the school teacher, Barry. And then you have, oh, you're with Body and Soul Ministries. And I like to wear my malas and I like to do my, the oils and the scents and the sound healing. And it's like, there's all these aspects that we get to explore and be creative about ourselves and finding out who we are. Ooh, that's another
Absolutely.
topic.
I think there's endless topics for us to talk about here, but and wrapping up,
Yeah.
emotion. Like, yes, emotions are a
Mm-hmm.
feminine trait,
Yeah.
and um, and just really connecting to them and allowing ourselves to feel them, um, and like, I think definitely we see that it's easier for women to connect with their emotions and
Yeah.
express their emotions, but men also need to feel their feels and express their
Mm-hmm.
feels, and
That's
um,
hard. It's a hard thing to do for
that's
some
hard.
of us.
And if the balance becomes restored, the easier it will be. Like, I hear how
Mm.
many times, like, women complaining about the men in their life not expressing
Mm-hmm.
their emotions, not being in touch with their feelings. And we have to lead the way, because part of this has come from us creating a society where that's the norm and that's what's
Yes.
expected. And
Yes.
so, understanding the power of emotions, understanding the
Mm-hmm.
power of creativity,
Mm-hmm.
understanding the power of flow and intuition. Um, and then the last trait that we have on the list is connection, creating connection.
Mm-hmm.
And um, I don't know how many times I've said, we're not meant to do this alone. We are
No.
not meant to do this alone. We have to create connection for
Yep.
us to not be doing it alone. And
Don't get me
um,
started on unity and oneness. Don't get me started now.
uh,
Yeah.
so, um, you know, and we've kind of talked about these, but just like for clarity, like how these things come together. So having a vision, this creativity, that's a feminine trait. But then
Mm-hmm.
taking it through and building it, that is the masculine. And it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean to say that women get to have all the ideas and men have to do all the work of
No.
building them. But having that understanding that, like, if you're constantly building and working as a
Right.
woman, you're constantly in your masculine energy. And so,
Mm-hmm.
where can you find time to bring in some creativity so that you're not so in the masculine? Um,
I like
you
that.
know, and tuning it, feelings and emotions are, they go hand in hand in the feminine. And so, like the feminine aspect is feeling like something feels off. And
Mm-hmm.
then the masculine energy comes into, what decision do we make? What do we go
Mm-hmm.
forward and do about that?
Right.
And
A good
um
one.
and wanting connection is feminine,
Mm-hmm.
but then doing something about it, initiating a conversation, that
Mm-hmm.
is the masculine of it. And
Mm-hmm.
so just seeing how, like, the pure feminine traits by themselves don't really go anywhere. The pure masculine traits are kind of like going forward but without purpose. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's when we bring them together that important stuff happens.
Exactly.
Meaningful things happen.
Meaningful things happen. That's right. Powerful things happen. Meaningful things happen. If you can hold your feminine and your masculine together and do something, say something, just be, but you're holding those two together as you go forward, as you do everything expressive or understand yourself. It's actually, I feel, and I'm happy that you're saying these together. So how do you use both aspects in a healthy way? And why are we talking about this? Because we're talking about being whole, and as one spirit, one human acting with both of these aspects in a healthy way. That's a more, like you're saying, Julieta, it's a more powerful presence. And that's what the world needs, is owning, right, both of these aspects and showing up more powerfully, more present, with connection, understanding all your aspects and everything that is going back and forth with the other person, right? The flow back and forth, understanding when they're asserting, their masculine or their feminine, what's happening. Can you react, in that? Can you meet the person in either way, in either a feminine, right, meeting or a masculine meeting? So if you're a stoic, for an example, you're a stoic male and feelings and emotions are not your thing, and your significant other comes with something that she's very upset about, how do you deal with it? Can you say, I respect the feelings that she is having right now? I know that I can have them too. I just don't express them as well because, yes, I'm more stoic in my masculine. But meeting her with that feeling and that presence and allowing it to be safe, that's going to create more connection. That's going to create a better relationship. That's going to give respect and also presence to the feminine that's needing it in the moment. So, I feel like it's a kind of bubble that a relationship is in, and letting it flow back and forth is really important. And if it has to tip towards the masculine side, where there has to be, okay, we talked about about this. The feelings came out. Everything was a beautiful flow and expressive expression of the feminine for a while. But now, okay, we've made a decision on what we have to do about that upset that is brought to the relationship and the conversation. So let's, have that masculine who's really good at the stoicism say, okay, well, honey, let's do this. How does that feel to you? Oh, that's a great idea. And then together, we used both aspects to go forward with a good idea and a healing idea, maybe, for their life. So,
yeah. I do want to talk a little bit more of like how things are getting mislabeled, and we talked about the whole mama bear protecting her children, and thinking that that's feminine and that's just a woman working in her masculine. Nowadays I see so many women, and it's not even good in the masculine either, but like this just working and hustling nonstop and just go, and these women like talking about like how empowered they are. And I'm like, wherever did this become desirable that we're all spending all this time working? Like, that is not sacred feminine. That is not sacred masculine. That is empowerment in nobody. That is like giving your power away to the system.
Yep.
And so yeah, and like people praising and wearing it as a badge of honor. It's like, no, this is not okay. And like, it's time for us to stop normalizing overworking.
Yes.
Another one, I had a conversation earlier about this today, like this over accommodating and people pleasing being perceived as this is a feminine trait, that you're supposed to make everybody feel good and make everything easy for everybody else. And that's just more wounded feminine and lack of self-worth.
And I've been brought up in that. I've been brought up in that. We're trained.
Oh, yes. My mom and my grandma, they taught me very well, and it's a difficult process to break. And but us having the awareness of it, that this isn't how it's supposed to be. This is what the patriarchy has created, that we have all co-created, and it's time to witness that and change that. And sometimes that can be it can be uncomfortable, and it can create situations where people that are used to you accommodating them all the time and being the doormat, they're going to get upset when you stop doing that. And if they do, that's also a huge indication that maybe this person isn't someone that you want in your life. They were just using you and walking all over you. And so
Good
definitely
point.
something. Yeah. And you were mentioning the stoic male, but like these men that are emotionally shut down, like that's perceived as strength. Like, yes, it's masculine to not feel and to just, but that's also toxic as well. And that's, yes, sometimes we have to shut down our feelings to get through a process. I think about all the years, from when my mom was diagnosed with Lewy body dementia, and this was a long ongoing process. I could not sit that entire time in my sadness and my grief over what was going on. Like, I would not have been able to get through life at all. So, it's not to say that we just sit there and are constantly feeling all of our feels, but allowing ourselves to have them and being emotionally mature enough to find the way through that.
Yes.
Another big one, and I feel like a lot of this, stemmed from the feminist movement, this hyper independence, that I don't need anybody. I can do everything for myself.
Yes.
I'm like, no, we don't, because we go back to, we're not meant to do this alone. And when we do things together, how much better it's more fun, it's easier, like there's so many benefits to doing things together. And I
Yeah.
know from personal experience that in the beginning it's really hard to ask for help, and I had a list a mile long of why I wasn't going to. I can do it faster, I can do it better, I don't want to bother anybody, I
Yeah.
want to prove how strong I am. Like the list goes on of why we don't ask for help. But it's not beneficial to us, and it's not beneficial to the rest of the world for all of us to be hyper independent.
True. Absolutely.
Uh,
It's an
and
imbalance.
we talked about leadership, but a lot of people are they take that controlling. They want to
We do.
micromanage and control everything, and that's not leadership.
Mm-mm.
Leadership is releasing control,
Yes.
empowering others. That's, and I wish I had $1 for every time I say it, like people are coming to me for healing, but I don't heal you. I'm just leading you down your path of healing that
Yeah.
you are going to heal yourself.
Yeah.
Um, and the last
Mm.
um, feminine,
Wayne.
playing victim, and so, waiting for someone to come in and rescue, waiting for some, the knight in
Nice.
shining armor to come and sweep you up and take care of everything. Like that that is not, that is not feminine energy in the sacred way. That's, that's wounded feminine.
It
And
is.
so um and those are just a few, you know, examples of this. But I think I really want this to be an invitation for people to
Mhm.
start examining what in their life is masculine, what in their life is feminine. And so you can really start to see, is there a balance there? Or
Yes.
am I operating too much in my
Too much.
masculine or too much in my feminine? And
Mhm.
having a better understanding of them, and then having the better understanding of how they work together, and that you really can't do it all with one or all with the other. And this patriarchy that we're living in is a prime example of that. Like when there's too much masculine, look what happens in the world. I'm like, if anybody out there can tell me that they're satisfied with what it looks like out in the world right now, I want to sit and have a conversation with you. you know
Oh yes. Oh
you
yes.
know and this whole expecting the politicians, the people that are supposed to be leading, which they're not leading, they're controlling. and and the truth is, like, they're not really who's in charge. We're in charge, but somehow we gave our power
We did.
away and let them be in charge to operate in this toxic masculine. And short of, I don't think that it's going to happen that next election, Doris is going to just decide that she's running for president and we're all going to vote for her. Like, those kinds of, I often see people talking like, that's the kind of extreme that we need to change. We need to put women in power and that's going to fix everything.
Oh,
And no, it's not. The fixing happens here, inside me,
yes.
inside you. And I can't fix you, and you can't fix anybody else. The
Mm-mm.
only ones we can fix are ourselves. And so when
Mhm.
we look out there and we see what we don't want, we get to
Mhm.
understand that that's a reflection of what's in here. And so we can see out there, when we talk about this, we can see that imbalance of the masculine and feminine. So if it's
Yeah,
happening out there, it's happening within here as well. And
that's
so
right.
having this awareness so that we can start to create these shifts is very important.
It is very important. So when those listening feel powerless to do anything about what's going on out there. What can you do? Exactly what we're talking about. So, and taking your power back in the situation is taking account of what's going on inside you to change. And Juliet is speaking about this in an energetic way, because when, you know, you may not understand that they out there doing what they're doing, it has no bearing that we do what we're doing, but it does, because, you know, we do believe in those energetic entanglement, or quantum, you know, you could call this whatever you want, but we are energetically hooked into each other, right? When I shift, the other shifts. When I shift, Julietta shifts. When Julietta shifts, I shift. Okay, and that's just our inner circle. But as we grow in a collective, that expands out to states, countries, the world. And there has been many studies too about this. When there is a group of hundreds of people praying at the same time, what it does to the energy. There's measurable things that are produced that we can talk about on another show, but we do shift. Why do you think that there are people praying all the time? Why do you think that, you know, we have people dedicated to this lifestyle? Because they know it changes people. And there's so much anger and discord out there. You know, we're looking for balance. We're looking for the shift because we can recognize it external to us. But looking for it inside is really where we have to go when we're not over in another country, when there's war and there's nothing that we feel we could do about it. We're saying, do something about it. You do have power in this. You can make changes. You can make shifts. Work on your own self and your own energy. Pray for those people over there. If, you know, whatever makes you feel that you're doing something, because you are. If you didn't know it, you are. So that's our belief. That's where we're coming from. So thank you for saying that. We're at 4:43.
I know we're talking up a storm here, but
Yeah.
but you know, I like people having practical tips. I want people to have an understanding of, with maybe a little bit more clarity of how they can start to integrate these things into their daily life. And I'm going to start with the feminine, just because our audience, we know, is primarily female out there. But you know, I've given the tips of wearing dresses. I'm wearing a dress today. Like, the energy of a dress is definitely tuned in with the feminine. And when someone offers you a compliment, receive it. I think we missed talking about receiving being a feminine trait when we were talking about feminine traits. I think we skipped over that one. But receiving. And so receiving isn't just receiving money or receiving a gift, but it's also receiving compliments. And, you know, I think here's a perfect example of where that feminist, hyper independent, you know, when a man now, like, men don't know what to do. They want to be kind and open the door for you, but then the woman turns around and says, I don't need you to open no door for me. Yeah. And like, no, come on. Someone wants to open the door for you, allow it and say thank you. Yep. Like, it feels nice for someone to do something for you. It's feminine to receive that gift. And then also the masculine feels fulfilled because they did an action that was received. That's, you know, that's part of what that masculine energy is. And so when we shut it down so many times, we just shut them down. It's like, no wonder that we've got the manosphere happening out there. Yeah. So, but then going beyond those tips, like, we all need to slow down so that we can feel, so that we can listen to our intuition. Like, just slowing down a little bit, taking that breath, that pause, that will allow the intuition to come in, that will allow the feelings to come in, that will allow the creativity to come in.
Yes.
But when we're pushing, going, there's no space for the feminine.
Yeah.
And so slowing down, taking a pause, that can bring it in. You mentioned find a way to be creative. And yes, that might be some form of art, like over the years, me working with my crystal wire wrapping and my mala making and my acrylic paintings and my watercolor paintings. Like, yes, I have found ways to get that creativity out there. But for someone else, it might be singing and using their voice.
Okay.
For someone else, it might be movement and dance and flow and exercise in some way. For someone, it might be the way that you dress. For others, it might be the way you plan your meals and cook your meals. There's infinite ways that you can bring creativity in. And so it might feel a struggle at first, and I've even seen like one of the people on her trip to Egypt had it's like a coloring book on her tablet. And and just like even me watching her like felt really good and relaxing, and just like choosing the colors to fill in the spaces. So it didn't require like extreme, because like I look at some artists and their work and I'm like, I do not have the fine motor skills, the attention to detail to create this, incredible work of art. But not all art has to look like that. Not all creativity looks like that.
No.
What else was I? Oh, and I kind of mentioned on this, but allowing to receive support. If someone is offering to help you, say yes, receive that help. And they'll even go one step further, ask for support, ask for help. Another friend today asked me to take her to go with her to her doctor visit. And and she was like, this was really hard for me to do, to ask for the help. But my intuition, her intuition was telling her that she should do this, because it was very stressful, the whole experience, and just wanting someone to be there with her and someone to like stay present, because sometimes you're receiving medical news and it can put you in a whirlwind, and then you may not be hearing the important things that you need to hear. And so but and I said to her, I said, thank you, and I acknowledge you for reaching out and asking for help. And we need to make that the new norm, because it has been such a no, we got to be independent, we got to do things for ourselves, and everybody's too busy to help anybody else, to support anybody else. And so undoing that,
the busyness
brings back the feminine.
Yes. I'm glad you did that.
How about for our masculine side? What tips do we have for them to because I've said this a million times, like, I was married for 25 years. I crazily got married at 20, but I was so mature, like, of course that was not a problem. But, stepping back, and I was able to recognize this many years. But one of the biggest problems with a marriage was that me, Julietta, operating in the masculine. Totally emasculated my husband. And, not that I want to go back and try a do-over, but 1,000% I can recognize that I did that to him. And so many, like, we women as a collective are doing that collectively to the masculine right now. Yeah. So giving them a space to understand, like, yes, I'm putting this on the women to heal and bring forth that sacred feminine, and I'm telling them to stop demasculating the men out there. But I know that there's men out there too that want to step into their sacred masculine power. So what do we have? What do we have for them? What tips do we have for them?
Ooh, got me on the fly here. I mean, I think the men, and I started to say this earlier, and I'm going off the cuff here, but I think it's a lot of just being mindful and respectful for those feminine traits that we mentioned. So, like I was saying earlier, if there is a man that's not comfortable with feminine emotionality, starting to sit with it and find it within themselves to say, it's okay for me to express feelings. It's okay for me to be heard. It's okay for me to lean on my significant other or a friend. It's okay for me to need help. It's okay for me to need to, be supported in something. I think that the masculine is so, hyper independent, like you say, they are unclear about how to lean on people and use their feminine side. Um, and so I think men have a tough job of it. I do. I would like to see them more so connect on a regular basis to somebody who they know is a little bit on the feminine side and see how that works out for them to sit with it. I think too much we gravitate towards people like us. So men are gravitating, those stoicism types are gravitating to those types. And because they're comfortable in it. So I was thinking masculine, those men who want to hang out in the gyms and hang out with people who, tough it out and do all those things that we talked about in toxic masculinity. Try something different. Try something different. So if you are looking at how to change within you and recognizing the feminine, not only recognize it, but respect it and believe that it is necessary to find it and respect it and say that it's valuable. I think the number one thing that we don't do, and men don't do maybe, or women don't do it for the men sometimes, is valuing the other aspect that they can't find in themselves. Value the sacred feminine, value the sacred masculine. That comes first because when you value it, you can incorporate it into your own system. You could recognize it and be with it. Just be with it. Step outside your comfort zone, you know? So, I mean, those are the things that I feel for both sides would benefit. But I mean, we're just talking about the masculine because you covered a lot of the feminine. I love it. But the masculine needs to connect. That's what,
Um,
because I think they are too out there just trying to gravitate to what they know and always have been.
well, and what's been programmed out there in society, and
Yeah.
and watching that Manosphere documentary, like I understand by looking out and seeing the patriarchy that things are out of balance, but watching that, I was like, oh my god,
Yes.
it's worse out there than what I thought. But but things too, like when for the men, like wanting to step more into that sacred masculine, like
Yeah.
want to lead, like yes, lead, but lead not from a space of controlling and micromanaging. Like see how you can lead from a place of true masculine leadership, but
Yeah.
by then allowing and trusting others to follow through on what it is that you're asking them to do. um and some of this comes from building the structure that allows for that. you know um One of the things, I went through so much um physical therapy business training over the last few years of my career, only to recognize that everything that they're asking me to do to be a successful physical therapy clinic was everything that I didn't want to do.
Mm.
But the person who was teaching this and leading this up was a male, and
Yeah.
also like structure, creating the structure
Mm-hmm.
was definitely a huge skill set of his. And like recognizing that when you build the structure for something to be the right way, it will be the right way. And so, but so often we build structures that have no foundation and set everybody up for failure. And, then it becomes a whole bunch of I told you so's and
Right.
arguments and a whole
Yep.
lot of toxic masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
So looking at how can I better build the structure to create what I want to create. Um, I also see out there is like so much indecision in the world, and like making the
Make clear
decision is
decisions.
a masculine trait. And so, catch yourself and just make a decision. And also know that not every decision is going to be the right decision. That's how
Mm-hmm.
we learn, by making faulty decisions. But rather living in that space of indecisiveness, you know, step into that masculine and take a
Mm-hmm.
decision. Even if it's uncomfortable to do it, take that action and just um and bring in some feminine with that. Be kind and gentle with yourself as you're learning these new things for both the men and the women. Like as we're
Yes.
trying to step more into these roles of masculine and feminine, be kind to yourself, be gentle with yourself,
Yes.
give yourself some grace, and know that, you know, we don't usually do things perfect the first time. It's a learning process. It takes some practice.
That's
And
what we're
so
here for.
just practice these little things. And then notice how things start to shift for
That's right.
both the women and the men. Like when you start operating from a more sacred balanced space, how the people around you interact with you is going to start to shift. And then that starts to expand out into the next layer around you and the next layer around you. And it just keeps spreading.
Yes.
And let's start spreading it.
Let's start spreading. I like
Like an
it.
STD.
Oh, geez. I can't believe you said it.
Because
That's
we have
funny.
to have some humor out there. We have to have some humor out there.
Oh, thank
Because we
you.
can't take it all so, like I oftentimes I say I take my spirituality way too seriously. I take
Seriously.
my personal growth way too seriously sometimes.
Yeah,
And so it is important to keep it light, to have some fun with it.
you're
And
funny.
yeah. So I want to say, like, this has been, I think, our longest show ever.
This is, I know it. I am looking at the time going, wow. People are
And
in there with
and
us.
I'm super impressed to everybody who stayed tuned through all of it. And Pam, if you're still there, sorry I didn't say hi when you popped on, but we were deep in conversation when that little heart came up. We love you too. And but I would love to hear like people's experience of this. Like what little things do you try on to bring more balance and to bring the sacred masculine and feminine forward instead of the
Yeah.
wounded masculine and feminine. And so like I would love to hear like what piece did you try on and what did you notice when you tried it on? What shifted for you? And or maybe you didn't notice a shift and you just need some encouragement to keep going, because sometimes we make a change and we expect to see immediate result, like we are that society of instant gratification. But when
Yeah.
we're truly healing and shifting, sometimes things take a little while to happen. And so sometimes you just need a cheerleader or an accountability partner to keep things going. So reach out and connect.
Accountability.
Use that sacred feminine and connect with us,
Yes. Let's do it.
and let us know how it's going.
Yeah. Sounds like a
All
plan.
right. I'm
All
tired of
right.
talking.
Yes. You did great. I can't believe it's 5. Wow.
I know. Crazy, crazy. Longest show ever. So
Yes.
thank you all again for
Thank
listening.
you.
And if you liked what we had, like, comment, share, all of those things help with the algorithm to get more people to tune
Yeah.
in and watch us and listen to our craziness. And we appreciate that for sure. And so with that, I want to wish you all a magical day.